So I think you don't need to be well-rounded, but I do think you need a couple of clear signifiers where they can compare you to others as well. Long answer to a short question. But yeah, I think if I were to boil everything down, those are the big things.
Great. So lean into the fact that you're homeschooled and really make sure it sounds like to clarify what your homeschooling experience was like,
Mhm.
because it sounds like there's a lot of different types of homeschooling. So breaking down a little bit of those preconceived notions that the readers might have in there and some kind of standardized test, no matter how much we may not like it, because it doesn't foster our love of learning, but having some kind of external validation. Sebastian, what about you? Any thoughts?
Yes, so building off of what Henry said, it's one of the really beautiful things about homeschooling is that you can pursue what you're interested in early, ahead of before all the other high schoolers and things. And a lot of what I suppose it isn't stereotypically, a lot of people go into college trying to figure out what they actually want to do in life and they explore a lot of different topics and they explore a lot of different things and they try and figure out who they are. One of the best advantages of homeschooling is that you get to do that so much earlier than everyone else. And if you can do that and explore your interests and prove and show that you can both succeed academically, foster a sense of self, and all the while exploring the things that you're interested in, the colleges are going to love to see that because that is the kind of thing that they're looking for. Somebody who can grow as a person still is looking for things that attract them to them and can still perform well within the bounds of the system itself.
Just putting on
So
my former test prep tutor hat here. I think that you can really succeed at the exams if you approach them as a game, not as something that's being imposed upon you. And there can be a value in understanding systems because if you go get a job somewhere or if you travel to another country, you might want to understand what that system is like. And so that's how I always taught my students to approach the SAT or SSAT. This is a poorly designed test. Get in someone else's brain and approach it like a game. And I do find that it's a lot easier for a homeschooler to transition to traditional school than for a traditional schooler to transition to homeschool because homeschoolers are used to having a lot of freedom. They do understand systems thinking. So for a lot of them, some kids will say, I want to go to high school, just see what it's like. And it can be like a game for them. So I think that can be a good approach to test taking. And it seems like Jessica and Sylvie, you both regularly took tests throughout your homeschooling. Maybe one of
Yeah.
you, Sylvie, do you want to share a little bit about that?
So we took the California Achievement Test every year from some age when we were little to give proof to the local school district that we were proceeding in our education. Not really. My brain makes up words sometimes. The scary thing is as long as you're getting 33rd percentile or above, you're fine, and they won't take you out of your home into school, which is a really low bar. And I feel really sad that that's the bar that is set for public school. So we got like 98, 99. And I still have test anxiety. That's something I'm still working on. We did the SAT because we were homeschooled, because the college needed some kind of standardized stuff. What I didn't mention before is my mom actually was a public school teacher for many years, prior to my older brother being born. Um, and we took a lot of tests that were, quizzes out of textbooks and occasionally took a peek at a Regents exam, which I think are very poorly designed, but she wanted us to get a feel for what people are dealing with out there. And she taught me a lot of good skills that I have used as a tutor in tutoring high school students, other college students, how to read a question, how to figure out which information is valuable to answering the question or not, and going through kind of this flowchart process of what the test is looking for from you. So I'm grateful that she prepared me for that.
So Jasmine and I were having a little conversation about college itself, taking it on a meta level. And I was going to ask you, do you think college is going to end? Is it going to go extinct? What's the point? Why do you even change from this beautiful homeschooling to to college. Jasmine, maybe you could phrase the question, you put it, around the value of college.
So there is kind of like the end of college idea. Is it still important? Is it still prevalent in our society now, especially with these online resources? Clearly, you all have been able to facilitate a homeschooling experience without that traditional environment, but also kind of in the positive lighting. What do you think is the true value of college? Maybe Henry, you can start us off.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really hard question, right? I mean, I think the true value of college is it's entirely dependent on, each person, right? So I think like Sylvie went to college to do pre-med to then go to med school, right? And so the value that she got out of college is very different than what I got out of college, which is very different than what, anyone, like everyone's getting different things out of college, right? I think if I were to boil it down though to a very general level, I think that their biggest value, well, there are two primary buckets. One, they're literal skills and knowledge gained, right? Whether that be for the job that you have, the grad school you go to, or just learning to be able to learn better, right? Too, like I studied philosophy, right? My day to day, I'm not drawing on like very literal texts that I read, in school, but a lot of the understanding and skills developed and the ability to learn, I'm definitely drawing on. I think more generally, though, when I think of the value of college, I think it is the opportunity to be able to try a bunch of things and fail at a really unique point in your life and to be able to do that with few consequences. And so I think, that I think is a huge benefit and opportunity, but it's also specific to, people take college at very different times in their lives. All colleges look different, right? And so it's again dependent on who's on each person. So I think it's super hyper specific, but I think the most important thing then is people being able to understand what they want to get out of college when they're there, and then having the support and resources of both academic immediate classes and support around that to be able to help each student realize whatever value it is that they're trying to get out of college.